This episode is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hello everybody, how are you? In this episode of Wigs Untangled, I will show you a very quick and cheap way to dye alpaca hair. I recommend this method if you need to dye a large amount of fiber in the same color. You may want to give this method a try if you have any issues with patchy hair dye jobs, and if you want to achieve very even and full coverage. You will need a cup of warm water, a plastic spoon, some alpaca hair, and your fabric dye of choice. Open the pouch. In my case, I want to color the alpaca hair purple. Then add a teaspoon of the dye to the water. The fabric dye is a deep purple, but if you only use a little bit of the powder, you can affect the intensity of the final color. I want mine to be a pastel purple, that is why I only added a tiny bit of dye. When you start soaking the alpaca into the water, make sure that you check with the spoon that all the fiber is wet and there is no hiding dry patch in the middle of the locks. Fabric dyes come in many different shades, and most of them can be mixed together to create new shades, which is extremely handy. Okay, so after 10 minutes of soaking, I simply rinse the alpaca hair and let it dry overnight. Or, if you're in a hurry, you can use a hairdryer to speed up the process. And this is it! As you can see, the locks have been evenly dyed and there are no patchy spots. I am sure that you can all agree that this is a less messy and much cheaper way compared to using human hair dyes. Obviously, they both have their pros and cons. But if you want to dye a bunch of alpaca hair in the same color, then this is maybe the best way of doing it. This is it for today. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, comment and share. And if this was your first time on my channel, I'd love to have you subscribed so you don't miss out on any future videos. Take care and I'll see you again next week. Bye!